there be light, and there was light, said God. We're talking about Mother Eve. Of course, Mother Eve in the Garden of Eden. We're talking about the scriptures, the story of Adam and Eve, or the story of Genesis, or the story of creation, our existence. That's mainly what we are concerned about, really. Our existence, our journey on this life, our purpose, and growth and development, and so on. So, of course, the purpose of these presentations is to see how the scriptures have impacted on our lives and how we can use those whatever revelations that we have, or not use, or whatever we decide to do with whatever information that transpires, but hopefully that the choice we make with those revelations is that it would aid us to progressing and evolving to becoming better versions and expressions of who we truly are. Mother Eve, as we have made that reference to, the God of creation, we could say, in the scriptures, which is the waters. And of course, we equate the waters, which reflects in the first chapter of Genesis, verse 2. So we are looking at where it speaks about the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So the waters here, we are saying this is very much Mother Eve. Now, it's not to say that Mother Eve did not transpire in the first verse, where it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. We see that that was an introduction of the grand scheme of things that happened about God created heaven and earth. But in the beginning, we know that the word in it really consists of Mother Eve, because it is of number 9 and number 5, where it is beginning and end. So 9 is really beginning, 5 is end, and we see those two really are what forms the first word of the Bible, which is in. So we see that Mother Eve, of course, when we add these two numbers together, 9 plus 5 is 14, and 1 plus 4 is 5. So we could say that that encapsulates Mother Eve perfectly. Now, when we speak of Mother Eve as number 5, we have seen that also the Spirit of Christ, when we use the Christ Spirit, which is really the Kundalini, pineal gland, pyramid. There are so many words that we have come across, like key and open. I like the word for key, for instance, because it's really saying that Mother Eve is key, basically, and it's also open. Now, isn't it really wonderful to realize that when we speak of open, it's as if that's what Mother Eve is really beckoning us to experience, that opening in the spinal cord where she can worm her way up. We are talking about the serpent and the snake. Actually, the word snake also equals 5. The word serpent is 7, but we have seen how 7 becomes Mother Eve as well, the serpent in the Garden of Eden. So not going too much into that right now, but it's just really drawing on the reference that how Mother Eve is that which beckons us to be submissive, for her to find that opening in the spinal cord to rise up and into, of course, she's got the key as well. So we have the key. We are talking about everything. Mother Eve is in us. Mother Eve is like saying, I can't do anything without you agreeing, really submitting. Now, sometimes we do agree to things, or we seem to agree unconsciously. We want things, but I'm not sure if I really want to go through the diet or the detox, or I hear so many stories, and we are not clear of how much we have bought into the idea. So sometimes some catastrophic thing happens, and we find it's as if we had bought into the idea, but we're not conscious about it. I believe conscious awareness is also key, which is why Mother Eve is beckoning us to come home to her, to listen to her, her side of the story in her story instead of his story, which we have heard in the past. So now it's about her story. Now, the purpose of this presentation, before I go on to so long, is that I want to really delve back into showing how Mother Eve is so present and is really the orchestrator in Genesis of chapter 1 and 2, but basically chapter 1, to really show that that Mother Eve has been passively, or seemingly, I should say, seemingly passive in the creation story, but actually she has been key to the creation, to creation. So I have done what I have discovered as the 9 gods in Genesis. Of course, in Genesis of chapter 1, I have made a list, which is the God of movement, the said God, which is Mother Eve, the God of soaring, the God who saw, the God who divided, the God who called, and the God who made, of course, the God who set, the God who called, and the God who blessed. I think I have said them all here. Now, I have made a list of those gods, yes, but what I've also done, which I feel is crucial, to get an idea of how Mother Eve's function had, or Mother Eve played out in that creation story, is that I felt it was necessary to look at the acts of the gods, or the sequence of the gods in Genesis of chapter 1, and which God performed and which subsequent God had acted as well. So that was what I felt I was that it was necessary to look at, and also it gave me an idea, or to see whether there was a pattern, numerically speaking, that would show particularly that 369 on like the sacrifice template, of course, and which we have seen to some extent. There is such a pattern. Okay, with the patterns, it's not altogether clear, but the first few, in fact, there are 3 things that I have found that coincide pretty well, I would say, with this pattern of 369. And so in Genesis of chapter 1, we see that the first word, or the first spoken words of Mother Eve, where Mother Eve said, for instance, "Let there be light," and there was light. That really showed up in the 3rd verse of the Bible. So that is number 3. In fact, I noticed this for quite a while, but I hadn't spoken on that before because I really wanted to look at this closer, and I believe that has such magnitude or symbolic essence to it. So I wanted to really savor the essence of that, and ensuring that I do understand what I'm talking about as well, although I do things intuitively there. But this was something I spotted, and I thought I really want to grasp the essence of this, and hopefully I could present you a delicious dish where we all could partake of, and then we could perhaps see it as the Last Supper, without having to drink of the wine like Christ did, or and the disciples in that way, or having that sacrificial, well, I would say that sort of ritual. In On the other hand, well, we could still call it a ritual. We could do. But because this could be seen as breaking of the bread, where we are dissecting the scriptures, we could say that. And when we have understood the essence of those words of the scriptures, we could see it as drinking of the wine. And that would really be our perfect supper. But I would hate to think of it, and I'm using the word hate, which I can't recall when last I used this word, but it's come out because it has the word ate in it, and we are talking about food, of course. So I can understand that. So I wouldn't really like to think that this is the Last Supper. And it gives me an idea of why people as well, particularly in the teaching world or religion, tend to hold back so they could have something to reoffer and keep that relationship going. That is what I'm feeling. That is, I'm getting with you now. I would like us to continue having this relationship and not have it like the Last Supper right now. Okay, anyway, so let's look at those words that we really want to look at those words. So basically, this is what I did now. And in this where we have God moved, God said, and so on, and there's a long list. So basically, there were in Acts, including, of course, the words of the said God when Mother Eve spoke. So there would be, this is like 12, let's see, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 3:24, and 3:27, and 3:30, 31. Now that of, there we see the number 31 and number 13 had been transpiring quite a lot in the exercises we had been doing. Like my last exercise is on the words daughters, for instance, on Job. When we speak of 31, we are speaking about 4. So the number 4, which is like foundation. It is, when I say foundation, of course, you know what I mean. Number 2 is foundation as well, but, and it actually equals the word foundation. But this is how number 2 of, and again we are doing numerology, so I am thanking, let me just call Mother Eve into these presentations, be with us and guide us through these presentations, and in the form of water, let the words flow like the psalm says. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable today. So basically, let the words and the meditation be in sync right now. So we are looking at, when I said 4 is foundation. So of course we know like 4 poles, 4 posts, 4 elements, and 4 seasons, and so on. We know about 4 gospels and the 4 rivers, or the river broke into 4 heads. I like that it broke into 4 heads. And when I read this, I actually think that it really means 4 heads, like minds and so on. It broke into 4 heads. Okay, all right. So number 4, and to see how number 4 is foundation, when we also write the word FOUR, it equals 24. Of course, 24 equals 6. Now, 6, of course, is the number of man. But when I say that number 2 is foundation, it equals the word foundation in numerical values. We have done this. But when I also write, so we have 2, when I write the word TWO, of course, we have done this 2, 5, 6, and adding this together, this is 11, and 2 is 13. 1 plus 3, again, that's the reverse to what we have just been talking about. That is 4. So we see this is how 2 is also foundation. It is 4. It is 13. That's why 13 is what is so reflective in the scriptures as well. There we see 1 plus 1 is 2, and once we have 2, of course we have the foundation, we have the incubator, we have the 13 gods, should we say gods? It was 14 gods, but of course one overall under the umbrella of Mother Eve. So we could see 13 as well is what we have just come to understand, that there are 31 entries or acts. So there we should really call this acts of God or acts of the gods. I'm going to call this acts of the gods. Okay, and I would like to be able to take dissect the movement and act of each of the gods and really see how their characters played out in creation. Because I think once we are able to do that, then we are able to see or have a deeper understanding of our own makeup and how the gods are really, how they really play out in our lives individually and collectively. So did I say the acts of God? Yeah, the acts of the gods. Okay, it would be S. Okay, and acts. Okay. So we are looking at the now. This is what we want to do. MOVED. So we have moved the first few, and we have said. I am not sure if I'm going to do all the different psalms to these, and we have saw. I just want to really go over this, and perhaps later on we can really study these closer. So God divided, God saw, God called, and God called. All these are different gods. That's what I have discovered in Genesis of chapter 1, or in Genesis we should just say. And God made. Now the God who made, I had this with Mother Eve. I kept feeling that that is Adam. And then Mother Eve confirmed, yes, that Adam is the God who made. Because I know it's A-D-A-M, but I kept thinking that it's A-D, the maid, you know, I just kept thinking that way. And so the God who made is really Adam. Hey, so we could say the first Adam. Okay. And so we have called again. So I'll just put this in the sequence of acts of what happened. Made and called. C-A-L-L-E-D. I hope you can see this. Okay. And God said. S-A-I-D. We have a long list here. So what I have done here is had them, because I wanted to see the pattern, how it would show up in the sacrifice template. And in case you are new to this, because we have been doing this all intuitively, but also with the understanding that intuition is key. And of course, so far, everything has been reflecting to us quite clearly that, well, intuition is really key. So, okay, I hope you can still see this because some of the writings are faded. I've been handling them. There we have, so this is the sacrifice template. This is Mother Eve. And this is where Mother Eve ate of the fruit of good and evil, or the fruit of knowledge, because it's through good and evil that we know knowledge. So basically, this is where Mother Eve is calling us to partake of the fruit, to show us how to do this, show us how to be submissive, to really eating of that fruit and understanding about opening the third eye. Basically is really getting your third eye activated and being illuminated and having a clear understanding of our purpose, our function. Okay, so this is where I was talking about the 369 here. This is the 369, 369, 369 that we are concerned with. So we see that in this template of the sacrifice, which is the word sacrifice right here, and we have numbers 1 to 9 here. Of course, when we add all these together, this is how we get the 369, 369. So that tells us as well that, which I have played about with the numbers, or that all the letters. So if you were to add three A's together, you would get the number 3. And so if you did three B's, you would get 6, because B is 2, and 3 threes if you were to add C, because C is actually now 3, and so on. And of course, you know that we always have to get a single digit, because we are talking that the numbers really are from 1 to 9. That is the like some would put it, that is the law of the numbers, or the numbers that the world is created on. Not sure I have termed this correctly, but our numbers are really basically from 1 to 9, and anything else is the double of those digits that we of course. So if it was 44 or 5 to 5 or whatever it is, but these are the numbers that we have. And of course, if we were to say 10 is really number 9. We've done this before. And also 10 is number 3, which is another thing that I want to speak about. I may have to do it in another presentation here, but we see these are the numbers here that I'm trying to really make sense of. Also, when we add these 3 digits together up here, we get the number 6 here, and 4, 5, 6, of course that is 15. We also get 6, and when we add 7, 8, 9, this also gives us 6. So, okay, not to have this too crowded, but we have 6s here. This is the 666 that we are told that is the mark of the beast. Now, I am with the understanding that 666 is really a metaphor on this, that we need to overcome these 3 segments of life stages, we could say. Overcome these stages, or get the act of overcoming those stages, to be conscious of those 666 in our makeup. Not necessarily that we need to see it on our foreheads, or someone's supposed to stamp us with something to be seen as the 666, but our duty is really to overcome, get out of the sack here, get over the reef with the sacrifice. This is why Christ also had a reef, the crown, and is to deal with that. It was a crown of thorns. So it's to deal with those things. And then there is the word ice at the end, which is saying there is a cold state that we have to melt out, if you like, and go through this whole series here. But this is, again, I must stress, I don't believe this is something about being on the cross and getting crucified. I believe this crucifixion is all about the crucifixion of submission, and being submissive to the activation or activating the Kundalini within. That is the energy, the sexual energy that we have at the base of our spine, that deals with the lower chakra, but it's really saying that it is seeking to take its rise. It's like a king or queen is ready to take their position on the throne, and that's what it is, because everything has its time and cycle. So it's not because the snake was cast to the ground that it stays on the ground forever. It is meant to take its place because it has learned its lesson, if you like. It knows everything that is meant to learn, or everything about life, and that's why it is there to teach us about life. Here's why Mother Eve calls us to her to say, come, I want to teach you of my way, so you can understand how to take your position here. Now, of course, there's so much in these presentations that I really want to cover, but so we will take this in segments. Let's do this here. First of all, before I do this, I'll just do the numerical value for the top one so you can see how this works in case you're new to this. So I get the numerical value for each word here. So let's do moved. 4 5 4. Now we can see a pattern, well, with the fours here. So in that first act is telling us there were 3 fours. 3 fours are 12. Of course, 1 plus 2 is 3. Now 3 is a number that has great significance, but let's just add this up here. This is 10 and this is 19. This is 20, 23. Now the first act is 23. Now this is what I really want to say as well. When we speak of the waters, WATERS, which I hope you can see this, okay, waters, and we do the numerical value for waters right here, 2 5 9 1. So this is 10 15 20 23. So basically the first act was coinciding or sextiling perfectly with waters. This is what we see here. So 23 is here and 23 is here. This is why I'm going to quote Emmett Fox. This is where Emmett Fox says, nothing can come into consciousness unless it finds something like itself on which to attach itself to. So we can see, of course, 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 5 here for waters. This is the first act that happens. Now, of course, we have 23 on the wall right there. I hope you can see that 23 right there. This is and of course this was all done intuitively. Basically that's how Mother Eve has just moved. It was first 32, and then of course one of the numbers fell down, or they both fell down, and I just put them back and they were 23, not realizing that my name as Shakti is also 23. Of course, it's not to say that I hadn't done my numerical name before, but of course while I'm doing this I wasn't really paying attention to the synchronicities that were happening around. So now let's see that. So that would to me be the first real significant very symbolic number. Of course we are talking about number 5, because that coincides with the word in, the first word, which is in the beginning, which is 95. When we add this together, we see that's 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So basically 5 is really our number. We are 5. So just to have shown you this, how we do this, so in case you're new to this channel and numerology as well, so the word said it equals 15, and 1 plus 5 is 6. I have done this. So is also 7. That is 5 1 1. That's 7. And divided is 41. So 44 plus 1 is 5. And called is 19, I think. Let's just do this quickly. 3 6 9 10. Of course it's 19. So 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 10. So we have 1 for, and then we have 6 again for the said God, and made, of course, that's 5 10 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So we see it'd be nice to have the 14s there. The 14, so for made, let's just have 5 here. We can see it's more or less mirroring divided. Okay. And called, we have 1 again and 6 again. Now, I was looking at this and thinking, well, what pattern is developing here? So we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So the first 9 acts, yes, the first 9 acts, I thought, okay, because we are working with number 9, let's look at this. So what I did was look at them in segments of 3s like this, 3, and added these together. Now when I add this together, of course, this is 11, and 7 is 18. 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. Then we have here we have 1 plus 5, 6, and 6 is 12. So we have 12, so that would be 3. I hope I have done this correctly. I have an 8 on here, so perhaps the word divided. Let's just double check the word divided and see, because it does not correspond with what I've got here. So divided would be okay, I'm hoping that I have also spelled it correctly. So this is 9 and 9, 18, and so that an 8 would be 26. 26 and 4 is 30. That would be 39. That is showing 39. Let's do this again. So this is 9 plus 4 is 13. 13 plus 4 is 17. 17, and we have 9 plus 4, 13. 13 and plus 9. So 13 plus 9 is, let's see, that would be 22. So let's just do 22. And so this is 49. 4 plus 9 is 13. So this gives us 4. And, well, yes, so that means, okay, so that is actually, I had 4, so that is correct. Okay, so the pattern that I thought was here, it's not. But let's look at this. Let's continue. That's how Mother Eve is transpiring, because I thought this was 8 before, but it's not. Okay, so there we have 3. Okay, and then we add this together, so that would be 12 again. So we have the same pattern here. Okay, so this is 12 again, and this is 3. So I really thought we had 369, 369, but no, we have 3, 3, and 9. Now again, however, if we add this together, that would be 6. 6 plus 9 would be 15. 1 plus 5 equals 6. So there we, of course, when we do the numerical value for 9, as I said, we get the word 9, it gives us 6. But there we have the number 6 in these 3 segments of numbers, which really means that we have come with the numerical value of 6, which is the number of man. So we see that the first 9 acts, which is still reflecting to some extent what we are trying to establish. The first 9 acts, like the first 9 numbers, is really now reflecting the number 6 here. So number 1 to 9, as on the sacrifice template, which is the word 9. If we were to do the word 9, N-I-N-E, when we do 5, 9, 5, 5, and add this together, this is 15, this would be 24, 2 plus 4 equals 6. So now we see that this is confirmation that the book of King James Version of the Holy Bible is really a mathematical construct, because there is the pattern that ties in perfectly with the sacrifice template here. So it ties in with the sacrifice template of numbers 1 to 9. And really 9 is showing us about 6. It's as if that it's telling us this is where we need to be concentrating on, as I say, attaining the 666. is because the 6 is the number of man. Is the 3 sixes would be 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. So basically we have our duty is to really now be conscious about who we are. This is the job that we have. Like, again, as I have done the story of Job, the story of Job is a job to find out, to be conscious of who we are as individuals, as primarily well, that is our main focus right now, individually, to know who we are. By that we'll be able to see others, or understand how the other person reflects our life as well. Okay, so yeah, so of course I was very excited about that, but it still shows the common factor about well, it still shows to a great extent what I thought the underlying numerical value would show, which is also which is 9, but of course we are seeing 9 is 6. And what I had got on there, that the word divided, for some reason I had number 8 instead of having number 4. Okay, so that's where I had this. Okay, so we see, as I said, it's 9 numbers that go 9 numbers on the numerical template, and 9 entries. The first 9 entries, like God moved, God said, God saw, God divided, God called, God said again, God made, God called, and God said. Now, because we are focusing mainly on the God said for now, because of course when we see the God said, we'll hopefully be able to understand the dynamics of the God said, which is Mother Eve, or the said God, let's put it this way, which is Mother Eve. We will be able to see the dynamics or the makeup of what had transpired with the other gods, like the God of movement, the God of division, the God who called, and the God who made, and so on. So basically in this as well, we have 1, 2, 3 entries that the God of the said God made in those 3 in those 9, those first 9 acts. The first 9 acts, the said God shows up 3 times, and she shows up, Mother Eve shows up in number 2. Let's see if there's another pattern in this at all. So Mother Eve shows up in number 2, in number 6, and in number 9. Now again, if we add this together, let's see, for instance, we add this is 15 plus 2 is 17. When we add, of course, 1 plus 7 equals 8. Now we move on. Of course, we can see, so Mother Eve, we can see when Mother Eve ate of the fruit, because the word eat or ate equals 9 when we do EAT. So this is how Mother Eve ate. This is 5, 1, 2. When we add this together, we see we have 8. Now, of course, to show that Mother Eve is also like one of the gods, the word God too, overall, it's not like that for all the gods, but I'm just showing this one here, which is 17, as we have seen right there with the entries of Mother Eve right there. So this is 6 and 7. Adding this together, we get 4 plus 6 plus 7 equals 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. So this is what we are saying right there. We can see that there is a strong correlation of Mother Eve being the orchestrator, the grand architect, of our earth right there, or our world. And I'm just seeing if there is another God. We saw with the God of move, the God who moved was there once, the God who divided, the God of division is also once, and the God, so let's do this on here, you can get okay, so the God of movement was once, the God, the said God, Mother Eve is 3 times, the God who saw is once, and the God who divided, of course, is once, and the God who called is twice, and yes, and the God who made, is once. Okay, so this would be the God of calling twice and the said God. So there we can see how again this magic number, which is that's the number we have been talking about. So we see the word 3. Let's look at this, the word 3, and that also shows pretty well and perfect when Mother Eve says, let there be light, and there was light. So here's what we want to say. Well, the first word of Mother Eve is let, L-E-T, and we do the numerical value for this is actually the first, here we are, the first letter is 3. So we see that the correlation of number, or the magic of number 3 right here. So 1, of course, was the the God of movement, which was still Mother Eve, because that's the spirit of movement, the spirit of number 5. That was Mother Eve. You could say that was Mother Eve in feeling whether it was morning sickness, whatever, because just like I've said before, it has been reported that there was one time a woman did not need to have the male to really be impregnated. That we are talking about what happened where before our time, in essence, or how we came about, because we have been experimented on. It's just like we know, for instance, that we have learned that at a certain age a young girl is supposed to see her period, and we bought into this thinking, and have set our neurological patterns have actually sink in our bodily function, and our neurological patterns have formed a perfect result to make this be a true representation or true act of what has been said. Whereas there have been people who have been able to conceive children and not necessarily have a period. Okay, so that's just an example of what I'm saying here. So there's the beautiful thing. Now the word as I say, movement or moved equals 5, of course. It equals 5. And just trying to see in what way this is 9. This would be 10, 19, 23. Yes, we did say it was 23. Okay, so 23, of course, we saw 2 plus 3 is 5. Now, just to go back to this and just really checking that we can conclude on this here and continue these presentations. When we add this together here, we see that we've got 8 and plus 2 is 10. Now, when we do the numerical value for the word 10, this is what I really want to show here. Then 5, this would equals 12, of course. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So that's what we see, how 10 and 3 is intrinsically the same thing. And the word let, of course. So let there be, or let 3 be, three B's. No wonder we use that term as well. So this is the three hair, and of course the word three in itself equals 11. 11, if we do the word for 11, that is also, that equals 9. 9, of course, 3 threes are 9. We are still talking about 3. So I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you have found this fun. If you like this presentation, click the like button and share. Okay, and let there be light. In the words of Mother Eve, the said God. Yes, do join me again. And of course, remember we are planting new seeds so we can move over to the fifth and eighth dimension. Don't ask me about the sixth heaven. The sixth and seventh, well, we're just doing a quantum leap. Okay, thank you. Namaste. And spill over with love.